Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday GAE Facebook Live. I am Lisa Morgan, a kindergarten teacher in DeKalb County and GAE president.
And I'm Sharon Doe, GAE Vice President, and I teach in Richmond County, Georgia.
Carly, you're muted.
I'm Carly Shaw, and I'm the GAE Secretary Treasurer, and I teach science in Fulton County, Georgia.
So, we have a lot of things to talk about this week, but the first thing I think we need to talk about um, I'm tired, y'all. Are y'all tired?
Yes.
And I can't imagine. Nobody got any sleep because we were waiting for election results. We're still waiting in Georgia for final election results. And it just seems like it's going on forever and
And on,
ever.
and on, and on.
But that's okay. I'd rather for them to take their time and get it right.
Yes.
Yes, that's true. You're right, Sharon. Although I think I'm going to need a new mouse because I've worn out my mouse hitting that refresh button, waiting to see what's the new number now. What's the new number now? What's the new number now?
Yeah, I
But
think everybody was hanging on for updates pretty much the whole week, from the weekend all the way up to now.
yes, still waiting. Still waiting. We're all still waiting. And so that's one thing I think we heard the news today, and if you're just coming in, the Secretary of State's already said that they're going to do a hand recount, and that's 5 million votes, y'all. I We've already had people, they showed elections workers who were working like till midnight. They were still there at midnight working some nights. And now we're asking them to do it all over again, and it has to be done by next Friday.
Well, it's going to take a lot of dedication and it's going to take a lot of focusing, but I believe it can be done.
I just what I hope happens is I hope that people recognize those elections workers for what they're sacrificing and the job they are doing. Um, I know a lot of times in our schools, we see the poll workers that come in and set up in our schools, but most of us never see those that are doing all this counting and they've been working nonstop. They were working the weekends since last Tuesday. So let's all give them a big shout out and a thank you for the work they're doing and the work that they are doing to make count everything and make sure it is accurate. And that's one of the things that I've seen. We've already seen where they said, we were double checking ourselves and updated things and corrected errors. So we know that is their only goal is to count things accurately.
And I think once it gets done this time, nobody will have anything to say. The results will be what they are. And if the results are confirmed that Georgia did go blue and we did choose Joe Biden, then that should stand.
Yes, yes. And we do have um, another election coming, so we can't rest. We do have an election for U.S. Senate in a runoff on January 5th. And GAE and NEA has endorsed John Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock. And Carly, Sharon, and I were lucky enough to be on the committee that got to interview the candidates for Senate. So we didn't make this endorsement because there's a D at the end of their name. The endorsement was made because of the E, education. We asked them question after question after question about education and how they would support public education if elected. So we are thrilled to endorse them, and we will be working our campaign strategy again. If you look at gae.org/campaigns, you can find out how to volunteer with us in GAE. We will be texting again. We will be making phone calls. We'll be sharing things on social media um, to support these candidates. And we support them because they will support public education. And a lot of times our members don't know that I think some of them think that we just take a list and check off certain people and say, okay, these are the people we're going to support. And they don't know we spend a lot of time interviewing a lot of people to do this. So, Sharon, will you tell people what your experience was like during those interviews?
Well, I think what is important to point out is we were looking for candidates that would support public education. And that was our main focus. If they were a friend to education, then we would endorse them. And it didn't matter the political party, because for the record, we did endorse some Republican candidates as well as Democrat candidates.
Yeah.
So I was happy to be a part of that process. And I learned so much about what the candidates had done in the past to support public education. And a lot of the stuff that they said really impressed me, because they didn't just start doing it now because they're running for office. They've been doing it all along.
Yeah.
In my experience, we did have one or two that answered one way on their questionnaire, and that's part of our process. Is in order to even get to the interview, each candidate has to do a questionnaire. And once their questionnaire is complete, then we will schedule them for an interview. And this takes place on the local level for the local elections as well as the state level. So my experience was on one of the local elections, we had answers that sounded great. But then when we looked at the record of this candidate, they didn't quite measure up to the answers we were being given. We were hoping that that would be backed up when we did the interview, but unfortunately, when we did the interview, it still sounded more like their voting record than the answers to their questionnaire. So we did experience some of that, but it's nice that we do interview and not just go by the questionnaire, because you do get a better sense of each candidate. And I learned so much from doing this and interviewing Ossoff and Warnock. They were so well spoken. They were very clearly pro education or pro public education. And that was key to GAE this year. And all of our candidates had pro public education stances in their interviews and in their questionnaires. So I think we put some really great people to support and endorse. And I'm happy to say that many of our endorsed candidates did win. So obviously Georgia agreed with us.
Yes, we had several. One of the ones that I'm very proud of, Rebecca Mitchell was with us 2 weeks ago before the election. And if you were watching then, you know she's a mom. She has young children that are about to be in public schools, and she won her district. And so she will be a new legislator here in Georgia. And of course, she supported public education because her own children are about to be in public schools. And I think that makes a difference for a lot of our candidates, because if their children are in school or they're going to have children in our public schools, then they have a little bit more interest in ensuring that our public school system remains strong. So that was very exciting for us. Just another little tidbit that came out today. There's elections and elections and elections. And we thought we were going to be voting on December 1st statewide for a public service commissioner. And that election has now been postponed, and it will be January 5th. So most of us in Georgia have one runoff election coming, January 5th. That's it. But there are a few areas that I think district attorneys, they may still have that extra runoff. But everybody in Georgia needs to plan to vote January 5th. And if you plan to vote by mail with an absentee ballot, you can request those ballots now, and they will be mailed out beginning November 18th. Sharon, I know you did early voting last time. Are you doing early voting again?
Early voting in person.
And what day are you going?
I'm going to go the first day it opens. I believe that's December 14th.
Okay, yes. Carly, have you made your decision?
I will probably early vote because we're never off work on the day that they're voting. So I'm sure I will early vote. Last time I got to vote on a Sunday. So that worked out well. I don't know if they're going to be doing Sunday voting, early voting this year though. Because it looked like it would take it into Christmas and New Year's, and I don't think they're going to vote then.
I don't either. I'm still wondering when we will be able to early vote. We know it starts December 14th. And like you, I voted on Sunday. I live in Gwinnett County, and Gwinnett County has an app, and you can go on, or it's on their website, and you can see what the waiting time is at the lines. So you can see how long the line is. And I got a text from a friend, hey, lines aren't long today. And I looked, and at the Gwinnett County Fairgrounds, it said the line was 15 minutes. And after people had been standing in line for 8 hours on the first day, I was like, no, let me go. And it was Sunday. So we do want to encourage everyone to make your plan now for how you're going to vote. If you want to vote absentee by mail, you can make that request now, and they will begin mailing those ballots on November 18th. If you're going to early vote, we can start December 14th. And Carly, like you, I don't think they're going to have early voting on Christmas and New Year's. So that's going to take some of the normal days out.
Right.
So hopefully they will eat, and I'm sure that each county will do their own dates and times and places. So look for that in your county and make your plan to vote, because we need senators in Georgia who will support public education. And we currently do not have senators who support public education. I personally have written our current senators multiple times about public education issues, and the responses I get back weren't even about public education. So it's like, did you even read what I wrote you? Because I wrote about my students and the schools, and you sent me this letter back that has nothing to do with education.
Was it the little scripted letter, like the generic letter they send out?
Yes. And that's all I've ever gotten. And I've written about lots of different things. So we want all our members to make your plan to vote, because we need everybody to vote on January 5th for our endorsed candidates, John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, because we need senators who will support public education. So I'm going to throw in our first commercial, because we want you all, I'm going to stick it in the comments as well. GAE.org/campaigns. We will need volunteers to help us over the next, I don't even want to think about how many weeks it is, less than 2 months, with our campaigns to ensure that all of our members do vote. And
I like their little slogans. Rev up the vote for Reverend Warnock and vote your Ossoff for John Ossoff. I like those.
That's what we need for both of them. And I know you ladies are ready. We won't have any time off. So when we finish voting January 5th, the following Monday, January 11th, our legislature goes back into session. And we don't know what it's going to look like. Um, in June, we really couldn't go to the Capitol to talk to our legislators. Um, there was actually legislators sitting in the galleries in the place for the public, because they were socially distanced. They had legislators sitting in committee rooms, um, so they were socially distanced. So we don't know what it's going to look like when the legislature starts January 11th, but we know we need to be there. Um, I know, Carly, I think you all survived the budget cuts without furlough days this year, right?
Yes, thank goodness. Yes.
And
We
Sharon,
didn't
did your
get the,
district?
We didn't have any furlough days this year
Okay.
either.
Well,
unfortunately, we didn't get the wonderful raise that APS just got, or the $1,000 bonus that they just got in their check. I wish, but we did avoid furlough days. Thank goodness. So
unfortunately, we have members across the state who still have furlough days and who had their pay cut. So we know that the budget's going to be another big issue this in January when the legislature starts. Um, our teacher retirement, um, every legislature since 2014, there has been a bill to change our teacher retirement system. And we also know that every year over the past 4 or 5 years, there has been a bill to take money from public education to support private education. So this Saturday at 9 a.m., we want you to join us for a lobby and learn session. We're going to be hearing from about how our state legislature works, and also, you guys remember when Dr. Owens was on with us from the Georgia Budget and Policy Institute back when one of our first Facebook Lives we did. Dr. Owens was here with us to explain about the Georgia budget. He's going to be there next Saturday to explain about the budget as well, and also about their analysis of what they think will be happening in the budget, and also one of the things that the Georgia Budget and Policy Institute has uncovered digging through the budget is a discrepancy and a lack of funding for our English language learners. So we'll be talking about all those things Saturday morning, and how you as a member can get involved. If we can't go to the Capitol, and we may not be able to go down to the Capitol to talk to them, we need to make sure that they're hearing from us in other ways. And
Uh, sorry. Can you explain to some of our members how public education is losing funds to private schools? Because I've gotten that question, and I don't think they quite understand what the vouchers really mean for public education, that it takes money away from public education. So can you explain to our members about that?
okay, so it's because of the way we fund education here in Georgia. We have quality basic education funding formula. And let me say that again, quality basic education. I always emphasize that basic, because why is it basic? Shouldn't we want quality excellent education? Shouldn't we want quality superior education? No, it's quality basic. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox there. So the QBE formula is based on each student. So if the students in our classroom, and it's based on their age. So you get more funding for a kindergarten student than you do for a fifth grade student. You get more funding for a fifth grade student than you do a high school student because it's based on their grade level. But also, funding is added if they are an English language learner, if they have a disability, if they're gifted, you get more funding. So it's a huge, complicated formula, but it's based on students actually being enrolled in your classroom. So then they take these scholarships and you can divert your money, your tax dollars, to the private school, or they get a voucher to take their child to the private school. Well, what happens is they enroll the child in the private school gets the money, and that's funding that's not coming to the public school. So now there's, instead of 19 students in your class, there's 20 students in your class, and everything still has to be funded for that class, but you're only getting funding for 19 instead of 20. Part of that funding went away. So that funding is not only for the teacher salary, but for the electricity, for the water bill, for the upkeep of the building, for the school bus, for the gas to drive the school bus. And so every time we lose students, we lose funding.
What I don't think the members understand is that those scholarships or vouchers are not enough to cover the cost of tuition for those private schools.
It's not enough to cover the cost of tuition, and it's not enough for transportation. No transportation is provided. It's really, and they always bring these up and say it's to help our low income and our minority children. It's, you're, say it louder, Sharon.
Is
It's
that
not
not
true.
true?
That's
It's
not who's using
subsidized the ones who can really afford to send their children to private schools anyway.
Right. The ones that can already afford to send their children to private school are the ones that can use the voucher. It's a, I described it several years ago. It's a coupon.
Mhm.
Okay, if you think about it, when you get a coupon, you don't go buy something at the grocery store just because you have the coupon. You were already going to buy it and you use the coupon so you can save a little bit. Well, that's what the voucher is, because you were already going to send your child to private school. The voucher's a coupon to make it cost a little less, because getting the voucher is not going to be enough for you to send your child to the private school.
One of the things that frustrates me about the vouchers and putting money in the private school and students taking away money from the public school is they're not held to the same standards that the public school is held to. And they can pick and choose who they allow into their school. And we take everyone, and that's okay. I signed up for that, and that's what I want. I want all my students, and I love all my students, but I'm disappointed that the money is going from my classroom and for my students to a private school that's not held to the standards. They don't do the same testing that we do. They don't get the report cards like we do in the public school. There's so many things that they're not doing, and it's just baffling to me why money from public schools is going to the private sector. I don't understand it. That's my soapbox.
They should, and can I add a little something to it? We don't get the money back in the public school when they kick our students out.
Nope.
And if you've been in education long enough, you've had a child come to your classroom who was kicked out of the private school.
Yep.
You know, teaching kindergarten, I will never forget my child that came to me from the private school who had been kicked out of the private school. And I'll never be able to understand why, because He was a loving, happy, very bright child, but kicked out of the private school. And what happens? You're right, Carly. We take them because we take everybody,
Mhm.
and they walk in and they become our babies, and we love them and we do everything we can to help them grow and learn and move them to where they need to be. We don't have that option to say, no, see you later. And that's one of the things that I think we really need, people need to understand. These at the private schools and the charter schools aren't held to that. So I did put the link in the comments for everybody to sign up and join us Saturday morning for our lobby and learn session. And so we can begin to be that voice at the Capitol. Um, we've always done a GAE day at the Capitol. It's always been very successful. If you look at the pictures, you know, we've got a couple of hundred of our members standing at the Capitol on that day. But we may not be able to do that one day this year. Um, we have GAE Day at the Capitol scheduled for February 25th, but even our confirmation from the state to use the room that we use for that day, where we meet and then we go over to the Capitol and we come back and have lunch. Our reservation literally says, don't send us a deposit because the COVID rules say you can't come right now. And we'll let you know when the COVID rules say you can come again.
But
So,
we're in classrooms every day.
yes, 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 we'll get to that one. Yeah. So the thing we need to do is make sure that if we can't plan that we're all 200 of us going to be there February 25th, if they hear from us beginning January now, and they hear from two, if you know, each one of them hears from one or two of us every day, every week between now and February 25th, then we'll still have that impact of legislators listening to us. Yes,
Yeah.
Carly, you're in your classroom every day, and Sharon's in her classroom, and we have educators throughout the state that are in their classrooms with full classes,
Mhm.
And
but
more
the rules say we
returning,
can't come to the Capitol yet.
yeah, more students have started to return in my district. So they're starting to return. But I thought it was important that we point out also that it's going to be particularly devastating to public schools because we've already had a budget cut.
Right.
And then if people decide to use vouchers, then that's going to be a double blow.
Yep.
Mhm.
So, Carly, are your students beginning more of them to come back to in person?
I have about the same number that I've had. The ones online, it's just a challenge. And it's a lot more work to have half my class online and half my class in the classroom in person. I can't do the things I used to do with the students in the class. And there's no way to do everything digitally that we can normally do face to face. So you're left with teaching everything digitally so that all students get the same benefits, the same education. It's tough. It's really tough. And it's tiring. And I don't feel like everybody understands that, but teachers who are doing it, who are in the trenches and every day working through these challenges. It's tough.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way. But I said it's a learning experience. Everything is a learning experience right now. New platform, uh, new rules every day. They started out with one set of rules, but then had to adjust for certain situations. I understand that. And so it is something new every day. So we just have to be flexible and be prepared
And
as much as we can.
we couldn't even do the safety drills that we have to do. They had to, for safety, split the school, and we did one set as a drill, like first set that exited the building, and then we did the other set to exit the building because we couldn't have the whole school exiting the building at one time. So they're having to make lots of concessions while we're in the building for, and we eat in the classroom some days. Some days we go to the cafeteria. They've had to do that. Our county, we even have to have a seating chart in the cafeteria for contact tracing. We have to know where the kids are sitting and who they were sitting near. So it's a lot of challenges that I don't even think people realize that are not in the classroom or in a school with students back. They don't realize how many different things are having to be done to combat this situation that we're in.
And just
Wow.
this week, another high school in my district closed, and they'll be closed until November 30th.
Wow.
And we already had 10 schools that were closed. And then we added another one. So it's taking a toll on the students, the parents, and the teachers,
Mm-hmm.
and the administrators,
Mm-hmm.
and all of our ESPs as well. Everybody that's involved in education, COVID-19 has impacted us in some way. No one can say that they were not touched or impacted in some way by this virus.
Yeah. And that's not surprising to me that another school would close. Um, I put in the comments our survey link, and we would like everybody to go to the survey. It's really quick, it's short, it won't take you more than 5 minutes to complete it. But we really want to know what's happening now and how things are happening now. Um, a lot of people were asking in August, how do you think this is going to work? But we're in it now. Everybody's in it now. And so now knowing the survey and knowing how people are feeling about it now is important. And also asking everybody to sign our pledge in support of our lawsuit. Because while Sharon, you've got your high school closing because of an increase in cases, there are other parts of the state that they're saying we're not closing the schools, period. We don't care how many kids get sick. We are keeping our schools open 5 days a week, face to face, all students. And oh, by the way, masks aren't required. And we do still have that happening. And so it's very concerning. And I'll go ahead and give us our numbers for the week because they're real. So as of today, we have 35,353 children in the state of Georgia who have tested positive for COVID-19. And as our trend keeps going, 1 week ago it was 34,015. So it's still a little more than 1,000 each week. 1 month ago was 30,267. So in the last month, 5,000 more children have tested positive. And that's what's going to happen. I don't know if y'all have been, the other time I'm clicking refresh is to see the daily numbers of COVID. And we've had over 100,000 new cases in the United States every day for the past week. So it's not, Georgia hasn't reached where we were back in the summer with another peak, but we're trending up as well. So that's something we'll be looking at because we know, despite what some of our people have said, COVID doesn't stop at the door of the schoolway. It doesn't stop at the schoolhouse door. It comes in with our students, and it doesn't have that timer. So no, just if Carly, you said you have to have the map for contact tracing. Well, you know, we know now 6 feet may not be enough. And it may, there's no timer. It doesn't happen after 15 minutes. It could happen in 3 minutes that somebody could become infected. So please, everyone, fill out the survey, sign our pledge, share the survey. Does not have to be GAE members that complete it. So if you have colleagues who work in your school who are not members, please ask them to complete it as well. So I was lucky enough, had toothpicks in my eyes, to join our GAE retired this past Saturday. They did a pre-retirement seminar. And they have 2 more of those coming up this year. I learned a lot, but one thing that I already knew that they reiterated, one of the things we'll be talking about at Lobby and Learn, and one of the reasons we want you involved is because they keep wanting to change our retirement. So this is my commercial. Next Tuesday night, so we won't have Facebook Live next week. We will have Rights at Night next Tuesday at 6:30. And I am very excited because Dr. Buster Evans, who is the executive director of the teacher retirement system, will be joining us for Rights at Night. So he will be there to give us all the information about teacher retirement system, which, by the way, has recouped all the losses when the stock market went down at the beginning of COVID. They're back above that level. Yay. It's what happens when we have experts managing our money. So he will be there to share all of that. And I will put the link in the comments so you can join us for Rights at Night next Tuesday. So, Sharon, how many more years do you have until retirement?
One.
One?
One.
Oh, Carly, how close are you?
Oh, I'm not that close. I have, let's see, 7. I think 7.
You're both closer than I am. I have 9 years left. But I asked y'all that because they said that we should start thinking about that when you're within 5 years, but also we need to be thinking about protecting it now rather than when the fight starts in January. And one of the things I think about new teachers, they're probably not thinking about retirement right now, but we need to protect it for them because we became teachers because as a teacher, you help make the world better for our children. And as veteran educators, I feel like we need to make education better for those teachers that are going to come after us. And if we allow them to damage their retirement, because heaven knows they're not going to get a whole lot more in pay than what we've gotten. It's just, we know that because we've been hearing for years that teachers deserve more pay. I don't know about you, my paycheck hadn't jumped, it hadn't jumped a whole lot. So we do need to protect our teacher retirement for them. So we want everybody to join us Tuesday night, 6:30, Rights at Night, and we will get all our questions about teacher retirement answered and what we can do to make sure we still have a defined benefit plan so that when we do retire, we will have a plan that we can live an adequate retirement. So that link is in the chat. And one of our people watching said, everybody deserves a dignified and independent retirement. And I think that might be the key, that we're able to have an independent retirement and don't have to have somebody else take care of us.
That would be nice. That's the plan. That's the plan, to be independent even after retirement.
Yeah. I certainly want to live independently when I retire. I don't want to have to um, depend on my nephew to take care of me. Because I've done some things he hadn't liked through the years, and he's made threats about the nursing home I might end up in if he's making the decisions.
Well, when it comes to our retirement too, we need to make sure that we watch out for those proposed bills where it creates an us and them, when they say, well, it won't take effect until such and such year, or only it's for those who were hired after such and such date. It
Yep,
needs to be protected for everybody, for everybody. Just because it doesn't affect you doesn't mean that it won't be harmful in the future. So
True.
that's what we have to look out for. We have to be mindful of those bills. And I like the lobby and learn, because at one of the lobby and learn sessions that I attended previously, they took a bill and they went line by line and told what this would mean for the teacher retirement system. And I found that to be very helpful.
yep,
And we have so few people entering our profession. The last thing we need is to take away one of the benefits that a teacher retirement system, which is one of the best out there. And they take that away, that's even less of a reason to become a teacher. And we're really struggling with low numbers going into education programs and then entering the classroom. So many teachers are entering the classroom from a different program, and they're resorting to teaching because maybe they didn't get to go into what they wanted to go into because it wasn't available when they graduated, but they have this degree and they're very knowledgeable and they feel like they can add something in the education realm. So we have a lot of great teachers out there, but I just worry about, are we going to be able to sustain our schools if we keep having this teacher shortage?
exactly. And if they don't have the retirement, now we all look at it. Okay, we know we're not being paid as much now, but we know we have that retirement system we can depend on. If they don't have a retirement system and they're not getting paid now, what's left? Why would you become a teacher? And you know, I'm going to throw this out here too. How many times have y'all heard you became a I didn't become a teacher for the income, I became a teacher for the outcome.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
sure. Absolutely. We became teachers because we care about children. But caring about children doesn't pay the power bill, doesn't pay the mortgage. For those of you that have children, that doesn't pay for their clothes. Um, we became teachers, yes, because we care about children, but we have to have an income to sustain our own lives. You can't pay the bills with hugs from kindergartners. Uh, Georgia Power is not going to take that check. So and part of that too, I think, if our pay was better, do y'all have people in your school working second jobs?
Yes.
They do in
Yes.
my school.
We used to call it the teacher side hustle. A
Hmm.
lot of teachers do. A lot of teachers do. And especially this time of year when they hire for the holidays, a lot of teachers go out and get that second job so they can earn money for Christmas. Summertime, a lot of teachers go back to some of those same jobs for the summer so they can earn money and save up so they can sustain through the year. It's it's tough. The struggle is real.
And then we're talking about the struggle for teachers. Our ESPs,
Oh my goodness, yes.
it's so much worse for them.
True.
It's so much worse for them. Um, I'm going to go back. I'm going to switch back to our Senate candidates for a minute, because one of the things that I know both of our Senate candidates have said, John Ossoff and Reverend Warnock, have said they support a $15 minimum wage. A lot of people don't realize it, but we have cafeteria workers and custodians, and in some places, paraprofessionals and bus drivers, that if we pass a $15 minimum wage, they will get an increase in their pay.
And I think I read somewhere that a living wage would end up being about $22 in the United States. So even if we raise it to $15, we would still have a ways to go.
Yeah. And we have members, we have educators in Georgia making less than that.
And further, they don't always get benefits.
No.
So they're making less and they're not receiving benefits for what they are getting paid. So that's coming out of pocket.
Yep.
So it is tough.
I know some bus drivers who have said that they do get benefits in our district. Our bus drivers do. But I know bus drivers that basically say once their insurance is taken out for their families, they're doing their job so their family has health care.
I believe that. I believe
Yeah.
it. And
And
healthcare
so-
goes up every year, but our pay doesn't. It does not equal what we're having to pay more for in healthcare. And I know that's for everybody, but I'm just saying that that is a concern that, you know, our living wage is getting less and less because we're paying more and more for healthcare.
Yep. Mm-hmm. One of our people that's watching us today said that when she was a school secretary, the bank teller looked at her monthly check and asked if she worked part-time.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Wow.
And that's something we have to respect everyone working in our school buildings, because every educator in our buildings deserves a living wage and a retirement. And that's another thing a lot of people don't know. Our bus drivers and our cafeteria workers and our custodians are not in the same retirement system we are in. And their retirement system is much, much less than ours. At one point, and I don't know if they've increased it, but at one point, the maximum you would get if you worked 30 years was $450 a month. And those of us that have seen cafeteria workers and bus drivers still working, and you know they're getting older, they're well past the age when you expect them to retire. That's why. Because they simply cannot afford to retire. So we've been depressing tonight, y'all.
I know. We need something positive.
Well, we have just a few minutes left. So let's end on a positive note. Today is a holiday. Today is Veterans Day. And so we do need to take a moment to thank all those veterans in our lives and in our schools. I know we have veterans in our association who have served and then have come back and become educators and served GAE very well. So we are appreciative of their sacrifice and their family sacrifice. for us.
Yes. I'll shout out to my family. I have several uncles and cousins. My grandfathers all were veterans of several wars. And I just can't say thank you enough. I'm very proud to stand up and say, for me, I'm proud to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance every day because I think about what they sacrifice and what all veterans have sacrificed. It's like the saying goes, some, was it all give some gave all. And that is a very true statement. So I do want to shout out and say thank you to all of our veterans today. It's a shame you only get one day that we have to thank you because you've done so much. We would not have the freedoms we have today without what you've done, the sacrifices that you and your families have made. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Carly. For I got choked. Um, so we do want to thank you all for joining us this evening. We won't be here for Facebook Live next week. We will have Rise at Night Tuesday about teacher retirement. And then the following week is Thanksgiving. So let me go ahead and wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, to spend some time with your families, and leave all those books at school. Leave all those notes at school if you're in your building. If you're not yet in your building and you're working from home, teaching from home, close the laptop, put it in the bag, and just slide it under the table. Because especially this year, everybody needs to take some time, appreciate your family members and who you have with you, and let it lay, relax, have some time away, because all the papers to grade are still going to be there at the end. They really are. And also encourage you to be safe with your family members. We know everybody wants to spend time with their family, and it's another holiday, but we don't want to spend time with our family and then not have that family member with us for the next holidays because they got sick. And COVID's real, y'all. It's coming back. It's like every time we go up, we come down and we don't get to where we were before, and then we start going back up again. And I'm afraid it's gonna go higher this time as well than it did before. So
recuperate, take care of yourself, take some time off to do something special for you and your family. Do not do anything school related at all. Take that time away from work. Even those of you working at home, I know that's not easy either because
yeah.
it's a lot of work too. I know that can be stressful, and some people enjoy cooking. So that's a great way to stress relieve.
Yeah.
Recuperate, take good care of yourselves, and stay safe.
Yeah. Sharon?
Well, I'll just keep it simple. Since we're going into the Thanksgiving holidays, just stay safe and be thankful. And if there's something that you can do to help somebody, then do it. Do it.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining us this week, and we will see you after the Thanksgiving holiday for our next Facebook Live. But we will have Rice at Night next Tuesday. And we encourage you all, look in the comments. All the links are there. Click and join us for Lobby and Learn Saturday morning, and join us for Rights at Night next Tuesday. Y'all be safe, and everybody have a good rest of your week.